Call to order the meeting of the Board of Commissioners for the town of Mint Hill, North Carolina, March 14th, 2024. We do have a quorum present. I'm going to ask at this time if Commissioner Long would lead us in our invocation, please.
Yes, sir. Let us pray. Dear Lord, thank you for these citizens that have come out tonight to observe how government is done in this land that we are so blessed with. Most of us were born here and enjoy. Thank you for the good weather that you've given us this week so we could get out and enjoy somewhat early spring. I think we've all been blessed with that. Thank you for the holy season we're entering in, and may everyone be mindful of what that meant for all of mankind. Please watch over us tonight as we debate what's good for our town and the citizens here, that we make the right decisions with respect and honor to all. We ask in your name, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. You may be seated. Thanks, sir.
Went to that.
Item number 3 is additions, deletions, or arrangement of agenda items. You will notice under your consent agenda, item D is accept budget amendments. Those were added after the packets were sent out. Staff, do we have any other changes?
No, sir.
Item number 4, approve the minutes of the February 8th, 2024 regular meeting, February 9th, 2024 retreat minutes, and the February 22nd, 2024 called meeting minutes.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item number 5 is the consent agenda. Accept January Treasurer's Report and financial statements. Accept February Tax Collector's Report. Accept 2023 audited financial statements, and accept the budget amendments.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item number 6, we will reopen the public hearing on ZC 23-9 filed by Service Corporation International to allow a funeral home for property located at 7844 McWhirter Road, tax parcel number 197-031-12, proposed rezoning to B-GCZD. The applicant can come to the podium, please. Please state your name and address for the record, please.
Jody Dupree, 380 Riverwood Drive, Clayton, North Carolina. And appreciate the opportunity to be here again tonight. I guess if I hit this, it's going to go this. I'm going to fast forward through our presentation because you've seen it. Most of you have. I'm going to go to page 4 of our presentation, which basically covers the revisions that have taken place since the last time that we were here. Obviously, you know there were a number of revisions that have taken place since our initial meeting with the public at the funeral home last year. So I won't rehash those, but the things of significance that have changed since we were here last month is probably the most significant part of this is the connection to McWhirter Road. So any access to or from the funeral home property from McWhirter has been removed. That is now going to be just landscaping and buffering, of course, a sidewalk down the side of the street, but that has been removed. So there's no longer access there. There's also, because of that, because we're not using McWhirter for any reason, the right turn lane out of McWhirter onto Fairview has also been removed. The only entrance to our property now, which we're happy to have an entrance onto Fairview, will be basically a hammerhead entrance on there, so it's an in and an out entrance from Fairview Road. And there will be directional arrows there on the pavement to let the public know which ways they can go from there. There's also proposed street lights to be installed per the DOT, and these lights that we would put across the front of the property would be those that match the other new street lights that are in Mint Hill, so they would match those as well. We've removed the connection to the dentist office. There never was a connection there legally and technically, but on the plans it showed that. We've removed that, so there is no question that there's not ever going to be a connection with us and the dentist office next door. We have beefed up the landscaping with taller landscaping and greenery and berm and that sort of thing along that side between us and our neighbor, the dentist. As a result of that, we've also moved and relocated the dumpster pad further back in the property where it had been about midway up in the parking lot. It's now towards the back of the property. And we've also put into the plans to provide a 6-foot-high privacy fence along that southern property line. That'll be a high wooden privacy fence there at the back. Other than that, there have been no changes since the last time that we were here. And I'll take any questions if that's appropriate at this time.
Commissioner Long,
Not at this moment.
Commissioner Holton.
So the building, nothing changed with that building that was presented last
The
time?
building, as you saw last time, it continues to be the case, and I can show you, that's the building. So nothing has changed from previously.
And with the changes of eliminating the McWhorter Road, does that add parking?
Doesn't affect the parking. Well, it may have added 5 or 6 spaces. Our engineer folks are here. It might have added 5 or 6 spaces along that way, but not enough to be of significance. It's just remove that inner entrance and exit there.
Gotcha.
It'll be covered with landscaping and trees and that sort of thing.
And I think, I don't remember from last month if it was, I know that there was a lot of concern with our first responders with the fire department over there. So I guess I could ask our chief, since he's sitting right back here, any concerns that you have with this, chief?
No, sir. There's a limited number of times in the course of a year that we even process. I think the number was 29 or 30 times in 2023 that we had any type of procession, leaving our funeral home here where it's presently at, going out to a cemetery or anything else. It doesn't happen that often, and when it does, there's always police escort for that. And obviously, if there was something going on from a fire department nature, they're not going to let us out of our parking lot till that passes.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Certainly.
Mayor Pro Tem Dalton.
Not at this time.
Commissioner Henderson. You were waiting on me to call.
Yeah. Just to be clear, so making a left turn into the funeral home, will there be a turning lane to make a left turn?
If you're coming from down Fairview towards Mint Hill?
Yes.
No, ma'am, there's not.
Okay. So traffic will be backed up to turn left into the funeral home?
If they're coming from that direction, it depends on how many people are coming. I mean, they'll have to, just like they would now if somebody's turning left, they would be turning into oncoming traffic that's coming that way because it's a two-way right now. So if you're coming from this part going towards it, you would be turning right into the funeral home. If you're coming from the other way, you'd be turning left, but you're gonna have to cross traffic to do that anyway, so wouldn't be a center turn lane there. Now, I don't know what the Department of Transportation will do 20 years down the road. That entire traffic could shift there based on what they do. But based on what it is now, there's nothing like that planned.
So will there be anything that will help patrons, or you wouldn't call them customers, but
Visitors,
visitors to make that left turn?
nothing other than current traffic laws. I mean, people are gonna have to stop and turn just like they would turning.
I mean, in
any other
terms of signage or,
Well, the entrance to the cemetery, to the funeral home will be clearly lighted. That's one of the reasons we wanted a street light there on that corner, so at night it's obvious where the entrance to the property is at, to make it easy to see that. And our signage will be there, so it's an obvious where the entrance is at, but folks would still have to obey normal traffic laws and wait based on their availability of turning.
Yeah.
If that ever gets four-laned, then people coming from behind them won't have to wait, they can keep going. And at that point, who knows what the turn lane situation will be, but right now, we don't know when that would happen. That's out of our control, for sure,
yeah, thank you.
certainly.
Thank you.
Mayor?
Yes,
can I
sir.
ask one question?
Yes, sir.
Has there been an outreach to the citizens since our last meeting?
From us?
Yes, sir.
I don't believe so. We know that what the complaints were filed, from the original meeting that we had at the funeral home, we heard, as I enumerated to you last time, a number of things that folks were not happy about. We made an attempt to address every single one of those things. And at the last meeting, the things that still obviously were problems for folks, and understandably so, is the McWhorter access. And initially, we only ever had McWhorter access because we couldn't get Fairview access. We're more than happy to have Fairview access and no McWhorter. That was originally what we wanted a year and a half ago. But no, we felt that this plan itself addressed the things we heard at the public meeting last time.
Thank you.
Certainly.
Thank you. We do have two people who have qualified to speak. First of all, let me explain public hearing. You're good. I'm going to explain public hearing comments. This is still an extended public hearing that we're having currently from the last public hearing. So I'm not trying to keep anybody from talking. We just have rules that you're allowed to talk one time at a public hearing. And I can't stretch those rules because then the next time I have a public hearing, somebody says, you did it for so-and-so, you need to do it for me. So we have to have rules in place. So that's the reason some of you are going to speak now under item 6. The rest of you have the opportunity to speak under 7. We're not trying to silence anybody, and we want to hear from the public on anything we do in town. I would have loved for this many people to showed up when we were doing a 10-year plan on how we wanted Mint Hill to go for the next 10 years. We'd have, yeah. Thank you. So that's where we stand tonight. So when I've got two people that are qualified to speak under item 6, you will be given 3 minutes each. And the first one is Kenneth Welpton. Is that correct, sir? Correct. If you'll repeat your name and give us your address, you have the floor for 3 minutes, sir.
I am Kenneth Welpton, and I reside at 11625 Ranburn Road, directly behind the proposed zoning change property. And I want to say that I am for the zoning change, but because I am for that, because of they've made all of the changes that we've asked for in the community, and my main point is the retention pond, the water retention pond. My property, water comes off of that land in rivers of water down my driveway and down my neighbor's driveway. And it's got to be controlled with a retention pond. So I want to make a point that if for some reason this gets turned down, that any future development, that there would be a retention pond on that back property.
Very good. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah,
Thank you. I may not get this right. Is it Ura Tunstall? Is that correct?
Ura Tunstall.
Yeah. If you'll give us your name and your address, you have 3 minutes.
Yes, Ura Tunstall, 11725 Ranburn Road. This first one is from my neighbor, Jenny, who couldn't make it tonight, and she brought up the water basin, and she recommends a wet pond and to have a fountain or an aerator to make sure it's not going to turn into a mosquito pit, which that would be, of course, a concern of mine because I live not directly behind it, but where the gentleman was talking about runoff of that first house and the second, I'm like number 4. There's a lot of runoff that comes through there too, and I have a video of it. It's torrential. Let's see, another concern I have is the traffic. My cat has asthma. Yes, I am a cat lady, but my cat is very important to me, and every second could count when she's having an asthmatic event. I'm no spring chicken myself. I'll be 60 next year. If I have a heart attack, I want to get to a hospital fast, and I could have a heart attack any time of the day. And with just my luck, it would hit with one of these 30 or possibly 60, events that they hold that are going to be stopping traffic on 218. Let's see. When he explained and provided information about how a funeral home could impact the property values, of course I care about that. So I took the information he gave me and ran it by my attorney that I was working with on a deal in Raleigh. And he too agreed that a funeral home, he kind of went, you know, so I didn't hire him to analyze it, but I did have a brief conversation with a very reputable attorney. And I know the feedback I got. It was and yes, it can reduce the value. That is real, and it would impact my value. I'm right behind it. I'm in the boogeyman land, you know? I mean, the mortuary would be right behind me. Let's see. And then the runoff. I have a food forest in my backyard, and I am a cancer survivor. And when I'm well behaved, I don't eat pesticides and chemicals. So I would be horrified when I see the water coming, because it will, because we do have torrential waters coming from that side of the property. And if I thought that it had chemicals in it, y'all would be hearing from me about that. That's it.
Thank you very much. Any further questions up here?
I think, can we just reiterate for the folks that weren't here at the last one that there will be no embalming going on here, there'll be no cremation going on here. That's it.
Anything further?
Can I just, is that
Anything?
like, once they buy the land, I mean, are we, like, is this etched in stone? It's never gonna happen? I mean, come on. I mean, can you say that they're never gonna do it there once they buy it? I mean, it is a funeral home.
Conditional zoning, it'll be on the conditional zoning.
Okay.
Yeah, everything's spelled out in conditional zoning. That's why we're here having a public hearing. All right, nothing else up here? Hearing nothing further, I will now close the public hearing on ZC 23-9 filed by Service Corporation International to allow a funeral home for property located at 7844 McWhirter Road. Tax parcel number 197-031-12, proposed rezoning to BGCZD. Item number 7, public comments. Before I call the first person, this happens every meeting. You can have this 2 minutes every meeting, so when there's stuff going on town, please come talk to us about it. If I butcher your name, just correct me when you get up here. Everybody will have 2 minutes, and I think it's Cindy, is it Bow Bay? Probably not. That's okay. Your name and address, and then you have 2 minutes, ma'am.
Cindy Bobay, 2341 Hayloft Circle, Charlotte. I have 7229 McWhirter Road, and I also have the duplex that will face this rezoned property. I failed to mention the last time when we had the last meeting, I drive by McEwen Funeral Home literally about 100 times a month. I go to McWhirter Road to my mother's to have lunch every day. I go back to work, which I work right beside in the building that's beside Zaxby's down here. Then I drive back to my mother's in the evening to make sure everything's okay. Drive back past it to go home. I also pass it at least twice a day on Saturdays and Sundays. So there's not a single time that I'm not driving past there. There has never been a problem. I've been doing this for 10 years. There's never been a problem with traffic. I do understand the concerns that other people voice, but there's never been a problem with that. I would also like to note that Gordon's Funeral Home is on Lawyers Road, directly next to Stevens Mill neighborhood. Those property values have not declined. There was a schematic that was sent out to the neighborhood that I believe actually supports the funeral home or the rezoning going there, because it stated that the hospital was the one that had the lease. A hospital is obviously not going to go in that space. A shooting range is not going to go in that space. A power plant is not going to go there. The very next thing on the list that would be the least property value impact would be the funeral home. So there are two corners right there. I just think that that bears consideration.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Randy Caudle.
Sir, I spoke at the last meeting.
You're still allowed to speak under public comments. I just can't let you speak to that underneath that item number. I'm not trying to silence anybody, believe me.
Great, thank you. Anyway, I want to say thank y'all very much, and thanks for the people that are giving their viewpoints. Yes, it is important, but the idea is something's going to go there. As I've said before, something's going to go there. I would rather have something that's going to be more feasible for the area, Mint Hill, and also for the development. There are all kinds of ideas that's going to bring the property value down or maybe even up. And when it comes to businesses, very few convenience stores or anything of that nature have great access or great value to the properties living nearby. And especially that one in the idea that it's a dead end. If there's a robbery there at night and they go down that road, who knows what's going to happen. I would fail to see that. I think that a funeral home is going to be more advantageous than anything else. I do know, and I've also read that, yes, some funeral homes can bring the property value down, but that's only when they have a cemetery involved in it. There's not a cemetery involved here. I think there would be good access, and it would be good for the city of Mint Hill, the town of Mint Hill, to have something like this there. It'd be great, because I'm sure they would make sure that it's going to be top-notch. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Michael Vance.
My name is Michael Vance, and I live at 7325 McWhirter Road. And I'm here once again to beg all of you to please deny this rezoning request for the funeral home. At the last public hearing, Patrick stated to McEwen that since they've changed their plans so much, they really needed a community meeting. This never happened because there has been zero communication between the neighborhood and the funeral home. We found out about the revised plan just on Monday, and the new plan was only published on Thursday a week ago. The corporation that owns McEwen is SCI. It's a publicly traded company with a market valuation of over $12 billion. This corporation giant seems not to care about our neighborhood at all, and their lack of communication proves this. At the last meeting, there was a misrepresentation, and it needs to be clarified. Patrick, when you asked the planning director to read the uses by right for the small commercial section of the property, your planning director made an error that misinformed all of you that stated a funeral home was permitted by right. A funeral home is not permitted by right by your own ordinances. It's only permitted by special requirement, and a funeral home has to meet that special requirement. The special requirement means it must accommodate 30 passenger vehicles for purpose of forming a procession. If you look on the sheet that I sent you, they cannot put 30 cars in a row given the commercial outline. So the use of a funeral home is way outside what it is. I've also sent the board spent $5,000 to create a 218 corridor plan, and the board adopted it. This proposed rezoning would destroy the ability to town to implement the own plan that you guys paid for and passed. We currently like that plan, and we really want you guys to stick with the plan that you sold us several years ago. But this will sever the connectivity between the park and 51. My mom's going to finish the speech for me, so time.
Gene Vance.
Jean Vance, I live at 7325 McWhirter Road. I'm finishing Michael's thoughts. They need to be heard. We don't want to be a problem. We want to be a part of the solution to this problem. This site is inside city limits across the street from there is a site across the street from Novant Health on Randolph Road, on Albemarle Road. It is for sale, and McEwen has been contacted about it. The site is flat. It's already on a 5-lane highway. something that 218 will not be for a long time. This site does not back up to residential neighborhood, so a funeral home will not negatively impact any community. The funeral home will do great harm to our neighborhood due to the traffic impact and the financial impact proven by the National Association of Realtors that shows that neighborhoods near or next to a funeral home drops the value at 6%. Our community should not lose $3.5 million due to subsidize a publicly traded company which has completely ignored our concerns. We ask that you please deny this zoning request and suggest that they look for a better site on Albemarle Road where the infrastructure can handle this use, allowing the town to still continue to collect the sales tax. This is a win-win without doing harm to anyone. Please do no harm. Deny this request and let McEwen secure a better site elsewhere, possibly on Albemarle Road.
Thank you. Bill Saguz.
Hi, it's Bill Sagas.
Of course it is.
Yeah, of course it is. That's okay. I get it a lot worse than that. I live at 11701 Ranburn Road. I'm contiguous to the southeast corner of the project. I live next to Ken, in between Yura and Jennifer. So last time we met, I had a few questions, and all of those have been answered, other than one. The McWhirter Road, that's taken care of, the privacy fence, the access to the dentist's office. The only thing I didn't get an answer to that I would like to know is this going to be on septic or sewer? Because I'm on septic and my well is right on the property line in the back. I'm assuming that they're going to be on a sewer hookup, being an 8,000 square foot building. Does engineering know anything about that? City sewer, okay. Yeah, so that was the only other question. I'm new to the area. We love Mint Hill. It's a nice, small community. I don't want to create any waves. When I heard a funeral home was coming, I said, oh, well, that's quiet and doesn't get a lot of business. But I came to the meeting, I got concerned by what was expressed. So I did a little bit of research, and we are kind of lucky that the funeral home exists right here now. So my wife and I, in the last 2 months, have watched the funeral home. We went in, we watched a funeral, we watched a viewing, and I mean, usually I see 3 or 4 cars there. At the one funeral we did just kind of go in, we didn't want to get in the way, there were like 12 cars. I've not seen a lot of traffic there, I'm just gonna say. I mean, I hear a lot, but what I see is not that much. I did look up the property values, and it is true, they're on Realtor.com. They said that you could lose up to 6% if you were located near a funeral home. The backside of our neighborhood is closer to the funeral home where it is now than when it moves to new property. If you are near a bad performing school, your property value decreases 22%. I found 6% was pretty much the mean of what you would get for a commercial business. All that said, I don't really, I'd rather it be a field where I can watch the deer eat in the morning, but I know it's not going to be that. I know it's going to be developed, and I don't think this is the worst thing we could have. I'm for it, putting it behind my backyard. This would be a MIMBY I'm in favor of. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And I'm not even going to try this one after I butchered the last one. Sergey, is that? I'm sorry, I couldn't even attempt that, sir.
It's okay.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Sergey Chernomorets, 11601 Rainbow Road. I bought this house like 16 years ago, 17, 16 years ago. We like this area, nice neighborhood, nice people around me, my neighbors. And I was enjoying with my family. But now we're not really happy because I have to sit in my backyard and watching for funeral process. We're not really happy. That's all I can say.
Very good, thank you. Thank you. Diane Yarborough.
Hello, Diane Yarborough, 11845 Ranburn Road. We bought our property about 8 years ago, moving over from old, what was it called? Thank you. The plantation. I forget where I live. In an effort to give a great place for our kids to run rampant in the backyard. So we loved the big acres. Someday I'm going to want to retire and maybe go to the beach. And so I would really appreciate if my value of my house was such that I could benefit from the lucrative neighborhood that I've been able to call home. We do have some lighting and security issues, obviously, and Halloween isn't that much fun for my kids, but what we do like is the quiet nature of the neighborhood and the value that our almost acre holds. So we just want to make sure that we're doing our best to ensure that we are protecting our investment, as we will one day want to sell this property, and we are afraid that the 6% or the nature that people have by living near a funeral home doesn't hurt us in the future. My father was in real estate for 20 years, and location was all we hear about real estate. We have a very desirable neighborhood. We have a desirable city. Just yesterday, I was talking to 3 people who want to move to Charlotte. Housing is growing, but it's still a substantial problem in our neighborhoods. So I know Mint Hill property also is very premium. So obviously, we're in a desirable place. We want to keep it that way. We want to protect our investment. So I vote against it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have no other names on the list. I would just one more time before I close public comments, want to say thank you for coming out. We do want the input. There's always another opportunity. No, you already talked. You're done. Don't even wave at me. There's always an opportunity, though, to send us emails. We read them. So you could, all the contact informations for us, and I'm looking for a head knob, and the planning board are on the website so that they can send an email and
Always do the info at Mint Hill. We'll get it to them.
input Mint Hill.
Info at Mint Hill.
Info Mint Hill. Info Mint Hill, and they'll make sure that we all get a copy of it. So keep it coming, keep the information coming from the public. We don't know how you guys feel unless we hear from you. So with that, I will close item number 7, public comments. Move on to item number 8, discussion and decision on possible annexation of property located at 9809 Brief Road, tax parcel number 139-302-34, filed by Michael and Suzanne Otten. Do I have a motion?
Motion to accept.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion on this? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item number 9, discussion and decision on ZC 24-1 filed by Queens Grant Community School Incorporated to allow construction of a gymnasium for Queens Grant High School for property located at 10331 Idlewild Road, tax parcel number 135-391-96, proposed rezoning from R to ICZD. John. Excuse me, Mr. Horde.
Planning board met February 20th, and they have a favorable recommendation with the following consistency statements. CC 24-1 was found to be consistent with land use plan. The adjacency of the property to the school campus, south of the lot, and that it only has one access to the school site, minimizes the impact to surrounding lots. Therefore, CC 24-1 is found to be reasonable and in the public interest, based on information presented and reviewed.
Any questions for Mr. Horde at this time?
I have one
Yes, ma'am.
question about just the, whether construction is going to cause, or how construction will cause capacity on the road. because now with Idlewild Road, and with the schools there now, where are they with that, just in terms of the traffic impact?
She's asking about TIA on this project.
This did not trigger TIA.
Which means that the
Traffic impact analysis.
Okay.
track,
So when you say it didn't impact it, what do you mean it didn't impact it?
Well, I thought you were asking for a TIA.
Well, I don't know if a TIA is what I'm asking for, but what I'm asking is, well, I guess so, because of the issue is, has that been looked at, or is anybody gonna look at that?
Yes, so, two things. The TIA was not triggered for this project, but,
Tell
you
her,
say-
tell her what triggers it.
yeah, they do need to send this into the DOT has reviewed it, and they have told them, I think, in communication, that that there's no authority for this project.
It's based on trip generation, and they're not really adding students. It's facilities for the existing students. So you're not going to increase the flow of traffic.
So the TIA has triggers built into it by the ordinance, and that would be 2,000 trips, daily trips, and then you add to the, that's another 200 added trips to the peak hour.
So the gym would be for events, right? I mean, so, with,
That's right, so it's just for the school side, so there was no additional traffic with this gym. So no TIA, but it still has to go through its DOT review, and they have looked at it and said it's going to.
you good?
if that's what they say.
Okay. All right, dude, I hear a motion on the consistency statement.
Motion to approve ZC 24-1 filed by Queens Grant Community School Incorporated to allow construction of a gymnasium for Queens Grant High School for property located at 10331 Idlewild Road.
Okay,
Second.
we'll go in that order, that's fine. All in favor of approving it, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Now I need a motion on the consistency statement
I'm sorry,
itself.
Mayor.
That's all right. You were only on the planning board for 2 decades. I don't expect you to remember that. Believe it or not, we get along up here too, just like y'all do, so.
Okay, make a motion to approve the consistency statement on this.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you, Commissioner Long, I appreciate it. I appreciate that I can rib you and you still don't
Always,
talk bad
Mayor.
about me. All right, item number 10 is discussion regarding section 10-33-2 of the noise ordinance to prohibit engine compression braking, action deemed appropriate. And I'm going to let Commissioner Holton explain that one to us, please, sir.
So this is the fun stuff right here that we get to do, in my opinion, because one thing that can't happen is our police department cannot enforce anything if there is no ordinance. For those of y'all that don't know what an engine brake or Jake brake is, it's basically a compression module in these semi trucks that's used in the mountains when they're coming down steep grades to slow them down. It's not needed in a town municipality. And many others out here have these ordinances in place, and I've seen it, the effects of it, because it's terrifying. If you're not looking, if you're walking down the street and one of these trucks comes blaring by, it's terrifying, and it's not needed. There's no grades here, and it's essentially 35 to 45 miles an hour here. So with that being said, I know there's been a lot of calls up around over the years, and after conversation with our chief of police and getting some other information from other municipalities, it's, all right, what do we need to do? So we're going to look to adopt this ordinance. So if there is, now, that's not saying that our police department's going to be staked out on every street listening for noise.
Chief's right over here in the front seat if you need to talk to him.
Yeah, but they can't do anything about it if they're in an ordinance. So If you do happen to witness it or see it, get the truck information, and you can call the non-emergency number and let the police department know, and they'll follow up. They'll reach out to the company and let them know, we have this ordinance, you will be cited.
Does anybody have any questions on this at this time? No. Hearing none, I will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve Section 10-33-2 of the noise ordinance to prohibit engine compression braking.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? I heard you giggling at his radio voice down there. Any further discussion?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And I don't know who can answer this. What would be the process of issuing a traffic fine/ticket?
Chief, can you help us there?
You better know.
As the commissioner said, I'm not gonna stand road for every vehicle, but I ideally, once the truck is identified, we're gonna talk to the actual stuff owner, and hey, we have this in place, quit doing it. And we feel like that's gonna alleviate the problem that we have to keep behind before we can do nothing. So that would be the case, it would be an actual civil citation under the ordinance of the vehicle, it wouldn't be an actual rectified bill for engine brake per se. But ideally, the trucking company would be identified and we would go to the director. We would just be hands-on, do citation, would be education and then enforcement.
Can I ask one more?
Sure.
And that's for Mint Hill Town Police. What about the highway patrol that works, especially Highway 51 enforcement occasionally?
I don't see too much highway patrol working Highway 51. You might see them sitting there, they work the crash report on 485, but they're not working enforcement on 51.
In years past, they did. Okay, I'll stand corrected. Okay, thank you.
But highway patrol wouldn't be authorized to enforce town ordinances because they don't work for the town of Mint Hill.
So this ordinance could only be enforced by our police department. Okay.
Which is the finest in the southeast, I might
I
add.
agree. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Item number 11, other business and council matters. I'll start with you, Commissioner Henderson.
Just a couple of things. The Mint Hill Chamber had held their first meeting of their Public Policy Advocacy Committee, and they've begun to define their guiding principles for it. Also, the Young Professionals Group will launch its first meeting on March 28th at Panzoo. And lastly, the Chamber has had 17 new members to join since January the 1st, and everyone's always invited to attend their event celebrating members and our business community. That's it.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Dalton.
Thank you. I'll speak with the Mint Hill Historical Society is getting big time geared up for the rodeo in April, 4 weeks away to be April 19th and 20th. There will be some changes this year as far as parking. There will be no parking allowed on Bartlett. There will be no parking allowed in Veterans Park. So need to make note of that. And once the gate is shut, the parking lot's full, we're going to not allow people to walk in either. It's just too much of a problem. That's all, sir.
Commissioner Holton.
All right, going to be hard to top a noise ordinance, but we will give it a shot. So, grab a sitter for the kids and join us for a night away at the first Parents Night Out movie night, which is coming up at Veterans Park on April 12th. Featuring food trucks, adult beverages, and the movie Top Gun Maverick will begin at 7:30 p.m. Mint Hill Events has several volunteer opportunities available throughout the year for individuals or groups. Opportunities include, but are not limited to, staffing inflatables at family fun nights, parking at all events, unloading and loading vendors at the Tina Ross Afternoon in the Park, and the Madness Pop-Up. Madness Food Tent Management, parade marshals, and many more. For more information, visit www.minthillevents.org. And also, Charlotte Mecklenburg Stormwater Services is sponsoring Creek Week, March 16th through the 23rd. So drop on by Stevens Creek Nature Center at Mint Hill Hidden Gem at 15700 Thompson Road anytime through the week for special Creek Week activities. Follow a drop of water from your backyard to the ocean, interact with a topographical map made from kinetic sand, discover ways you can keep your drinking water clean. And I will add, if you haven't been to Stevens Creek Nature Preserve, don't go just because it's Creek Week, just go.
That's cool. Commissioner Long.
Yeah, I can't top that either. I want to say kudos to our police department. I was recently interviewing a couple of the officers at a restaurant, and they were sharing, similar to what the chief was talking about, how they had complaints of dump trucks on one of our city-town roads. They were speeding, maybe not staying on their side of the yellow line, and the officers approached the owner of the company, which is in Midland, North Carolina, and they were very agreeable that they wanted to be good stewards while they're doing business in Mint Hill, because it's naturally part of building more homes or whatever happens when you're turning dirt. But the officers handled it in a manner that was civil, and they got results. And we just, I think we take them for granted sometimes, but we have a great police force. Last night, I attended a COG meeting in Charlotte, Central Carolina Council of Government, which Mint Hill's a member of. It's a 9-county region. And one of the comments was, something that happens in Mint Hill can impact Charlotte, Matthews, Mooresville, Davidson. It's a region. So whatever's going on here affects others as well, such as housing, transportation, or the quality of water, as Patrick spoke about. But something that was really got my attention, our 9-county region, with our elected officials in Raleigh, we control 40% of the legislature. We're really pretty powerful, so I would encourage you to get to know your legislators in Raleigh, House and Senate, because we have a lot of clout if we would use it. And when I've been to Raleigh, sometimes we're looked on as the great state of Mecklenburg, and Raleigh-Wake County doesn't notice us, but we have a lot of clout, so let's remember that. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, and I'm going to piggyback on that a little bit. A number of us up here sit on different boards throughout the county, so we participate. We have input to the transit system that's going on. We have input into the CAT system that's going on. We deal with a number of county agencies throughout the month, so when you run into things in Mint Hill, a lot of times they're like, well, Mint Hill's not building any roads. Well, we're not in that business. We don't do that. State owns a lot of these roads, and all we can do is give them input. So feed us the input so that we can share that. You may see problems someplace, and I can tell you right now, nobody up here and nobody in Raleigh is monitoring social media. So if you go on social media and complain, nobody's going to hear about it. So let us know what's going on when you run across it, and let us share it with the others that we have to deal with in the county and the state. I want to once again thank you all for coming out. I appreciate a good turnout. I'd love to see y'all next month and the month after and the month after, even when we have some of my 17-minute meetings, when we don't have rezoning or anything else going on. We'd love to hear your input. At this point in time, we're going to go into closed session. So that you know what happens in closed session. There's only a few things that allows us to go into closed session. Anything that has to do with personnel, we're not going to discuss in open meeting. Anything that has to do with legal matters, we're not going to discuss in open meeting. And then there's some other specifics, and don't look at the attorney down here at the end, or she's going to be going like this when I get it wrong. But sometimes we can go to closed session to discuss real estate matters and that kind of thing before we purchase property and that kind of thing. We never are allowed to discuss anything in closed session that we're going to come back out here and vote on, so that you know that. So don't go running out and they say, yeah, they went into closed session, talk about that McWhirter Road crowd again, because that's not what we're going to do. We might do it on the way home. No, I'm kidding. So we're going to go into closed session. We're not going to come back in here to close the meeting. We have no announcements to make at the end of the matter. So thank you all.